Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alopecia Angel podcast. I'm your host, Johanna Dolman, and today we're going to be talking about preventing hair loss. I got this question the other day, and I thought it was phenomenal that this person had asked me. And so the thing is, can you prevent hair loss? Yes, you can. You can prevent hair loss just like you can prevent disease, just like you can prevent anything else. But in order to do that, what do we need to do? We need to find and have the right steps. We need to have the right formula for us. Also understand everything about us in terms of what would potentially predispose us to hair loss to begin with. Looking back on my own journey, if I would have prevented alopecia from happening, yes, I would have done that. But at the same time, those 4 years of struggle absolutely 100% positively changed my life, really showed me what I'm capable of, really showed me that amidst a lack of information, amidst a lack of help, amidst a lack of quote unquote possibilities, I forged my own path and I created my own path in order to heal. I struggle hours upon hours, years, months. It took everything out of me for me to get better and to heal and do that without a guide, to do that without a plan, to do that without a framework, to do that without a proven method, to do that without a program such as the Hair and Heal program, right? I had to do this all from nothing. And that in and of itself is something huge. Like I've mentioned in other podcast episodes, it is and it was my Mount Everest. It was the biggest challenge I've ever had to overcome, and it was so worth it. Now that the whole world is on stage for the Olympics, I get to read and see these Olympians who spent years training, who spent years doing many things that maybe they didn't want to do, maybe that they didn't like, maybe they were too tired, maybe they just didn't feel like it. And yet they still did in order to make it to the Olympics, in order to go for the gold. I got to tell you, I doubt that any Olympian goes into the Olympics trying to just win bronze, right? They don't want to settle for bronze. Everyone wants to go for the gold. So in the same token, can we prevent hair loss? Absolutely. Can we go for the gold and heal it, even though hair loss can sneak up behind us and give us the challenges that we're facing now? Absolutely we can. So we can heal regardless of how long, how much time has passed, regardless of race, ethnicity, where you live, etc. We can heal the hair loss. Now, going back to the prevention, this is a big one, right? I may ruffle a little feathers here, but I would say if we had a better training, better education system, and not just in the US, but this is worldwide because this epidemic is happening worldwide. Anyone and everyone having hair loss is worldwide. It's not just in one country, right? And so the thing is, if we had a better system of understanding ourselves and given a manual, then this would be a lot easier to navigate. But at the same time, no one's given a manual. You are coming out of your mom's uterus and no one's given a manual on how to parent. No one's given a manual on how to feed a child, on how to take care of the child, on how to bathe, on how to cuddle or anything else. Granted, some things are instinctive, some things are innate, but at the other side of things, it's all very confusing. Something as natural as giving birth can also be very confusing. Something as natural as growing your hair or as simple as stopping the hair loss can also be very confusing. All of it can be confusing because there's a multitude of factors and there's a multitude of things that actually take place. So what I've seen recently is that I've actually had a lot of customers come to me, and these are brand new clients who've said, hey, you know what? I had alopecia areata. I had one little bald spot 3 years ago. I had one little bald spot 10 years ago, and nothing's happened, and it just grew back in. I'm saying, great. Well, good for you that it just grew back in, because, that is a part of autoimmune alopecia, where you may have a little bald spot, let's say at 20 years of age or 7 years old or at 50 years old, and then it can grow back in. For sure, that's definitely possible, and it's happened to many people. The other side of that is like, okay, well, what if another one happens? Another one comes about. What if next time it's actually a bigger deal than the first time? Or maybe the third time it's a bigger deal than the first time, right? This is where we get into the vicious cycle situation. My thing is like, if you can prevent it and have the tools, techniques, and skills now, then guess what? You don't have to fear or loathe or even wait for that situation to happen. So that's one way of taking control of your health and of your hair loss right now. Let's say you are in that boat where you've had one little bald spot years ago, it healed, and you're done with it, and you think you're done and you've surpassed alopecia. Well, lo and behold, you haven't, because if you don't know why or how that came about, then this is probably part of the problem. More than likely, it can come back, right? This is the situation where you want to anticipate that, right? And so, for example, when I was growing up and I was going out at night, and I was in my 20s and going out late at night, in order to protect myself, my family said, hey, why don't you take karate? Or hey, why don't you take some sort of defense classes so that should somebody want to attack you or kidnap you or do this or do that? And I said, no, I don't need that. I'm okay. But what's the other side of that? Another way to protect myself would be to have pepper spray, right? And so I actually did have pepper spray in my car for me, just in case should anything happen. I was in a moment of distress. And so I didn't do the defense classes, but I did take on the pepper spray, right? And so in this same situation, you can decide to do a full program of the Hair and Heal program in order to prevent any future hair loss, or just for knowledge base so that you don't have to go through it. And so whether it's postpartum, whether it's for androgenic alopecia, autoimmune alopecia, or any other type of alopecia, you can prevent it. So yes, this is absolutely worthwhile knowledge and education so that you can prevent hair loss from even happening. Even let's say if you are that, young adult or young person and you're like, hey, my mom has absolute hair loss, or my aunt has hair loss, or my father has hair loss, and I'm looking like I may have that same situation. Well, we can circumvent that situation and stop the hair loss before it even starts. When I start reading through these intake forms, I start to read and understand people's lives and how this has all come about. Sometimes, especially for those with female pattern baldness, this actually came about decades earlier. This started when you were 19, when you were 20, when you were 29, and now you're in your 50s and 60s and you're still dealing with the situation, and it's gotten worse. And only because that it's gotten worse, now you want to do something about it. But what about if we were to turn the tables and say, hey, what if at 19 or 29, when you first started seeing a little bit of hair loss, you did something about it? And you did something about it naturally so that you would be prepared should anything happen later on in the future. Like that would be a very proactive way of dealing with it. That's also another way that we can prevent hair loss, just like preventing disease, right? If they say, oh, you want to prevent wrinkles, well, you should wear sunscreen and a hat. If you want to prevent, diabetes, you should eat low sugar fruits and do this and do that. If you want to remain heart healthy, you should exercise, right? And so these are all things to prevent XYZ. So can we prevent hair loss? Absolutely. Now, for the most of us, and I'll include myself into this, alopecia came into our life out of nowhere. In hindsight, it is out of somewhere, and makes real sense if you start analyzing it and taking it apart. And at the same time, it's changed my life for the good. For those of you who are currently in the journey or currently in the situation of hair loss, it may not seem that way, but I will say when you get to the other side with the light at the end of the tunnel, I will say it is a blessing. I'm hugely indebted and grateful for alopecia. And I say that now because, again, it allowed me to get pregnant at 40. It allowed me to do all these things that potentially maybe others haven't defied or maybe would seem taboo. For a lot of times, especially in the beginning, when I had my hair loss and I came out saying, hey, I healed it and this is how, and da-da-da-da-da, many people thought that this was a lie, thought that this was like I'm wearing a wig, and I'm not. The thing is, it's like that just goes back to showing how people can not see the light in themselves, not see that opportunity, not see that possibility in themselves. That's the sad part, right? Because I have my hair. I'm happy as can be, and I'm grateful as can be. And I'm so happy that I've learned my lesson and that now I can pick myself up and mosey on into my next stage of life, right? The thing is, it's like many times when the universe wants to teach you something, it's going to teach you something one way or another or another or another until you finally get it, or until you actually listen. Sometimes when we start to listen, it's when the situation has gotten real big, real quick. And so for me, losing my hair was that big situation where I was like, okay, my whole life is stopping because now I'm paying attention, and I'm paying attention with real detail. And every little thing, every little aspect of it, I paid attention to, because that is what was needed for me to heal. Now, with you, you have a proven framework, you have everything laid out, and this is actually quite possible to do. You just follow the steps and bam, you're in. But at the same time, that struggle was huge. So going back to preventing hair loss, absolutely we can. We can prevent, cancer. We can prevent emphysema. We can prevent so many other diseases, including hair loss. We can. But we got to be proactive. We got to be above and ahead of the curve. And so in order to do that, we need to get the tools, skills, education, techniques in place, and of course, implement, because that's all part of it. So again, can you heal and reverse hair loss? Yes. Is it ever too late? No. Can you prevent hair loss? Absolutely, you can. And I believe that the sooner the better. The thing is, it's like when we do have hair loss, it's a call to action. It's a call to action to wake up and to do something now. It really is, because without that call to action, without that waking up effect, then we're just going to get into a more severe case of hair loss, which will trickle down into other aspects of our life. If we are fearful, uncertain, and anxious and depressed with our hair loss, feeling isolated and alone and misunderstood and hopeless, then that's going to trickle down into career, into family, into partnerships, into relationships, into every aspect of your life, into even your hobbies, your creativity, the things you like to do. It all has a trickle down effect. And so the sooner you can listen to that call of action, the sooner you can take action, the better it is. So let us know. We have a free training going on. Email us at any point. If you have any questions or concerns, hello@alopeciaangel.com. Please rate and review our podcast. This is the way that others are able to hear more about it and to see that it is possible, A, to heal and reverse, but B, to also maintain this, because years later, you can still have your hair growth. This is the way that I want everyone to live, with your hair growth, full of vibrancy, full of health and wellness, because this is the true meaning of life. Being fully vibrant with all your faculties, with all your health. This is the way we were meant to be. This is your birthright. This is what is deemed for everybody. And it's a choice and it's an option for everybody. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you next time. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.